relationship is practiced by anyone irrespective of their age and gender before marriage. This relationship was considered as a moral taboo in many cultures as well as religious values. So today we have Brother Bonnie, one of our team members with us, and he's going to give us his insight on the same topic. So Bonnie will take the first question. How different is premarital relationship from dating and courtship?
Premarital as a topic or as a term, if you look at it, at its core, it is pre-marital, which means before marriage.
Yes.
Before marriage, involving two people who either want to get into marriage or who want to experience marriage but not the responsibility. So, one side would be courtship and dating, where the intention of two people coming together and spending time with each other, knowing each other, is to get married,
Yes.
and that would come under dating and courtship. But the other side is where premarital would not end up in marriage, and where those two people, they're not intended to get married. It's more about experiencing the fun and frolic of marriage, but without the responsibility and without the commitment that marriage carries. So for me, premarital would definitely be a term where two people need to either know that they're going to get married or not.
So you said it correctly, Bonnie, that premarital relationship is any kind of relationship between two people of different gender before marriage, because whatever is happening before marriage we bring under the umbrella term of premarital relationship. So it can actually contain small things like dating, as you already said, courtship, then I have a crush on someone, or infatuation. All these things are small things, or even boy girlfriend. So these all will be including inside this term premarital relationship. So I would say premarital relationship is socially accepted nowadays. Even psychology says that it's a normal process. But what went wrong when we speak that it's a taboo or people cannot accept it?
What went wrong with premarital is inclusion of sex,
Right.
because two people supposedly wanted to come together and experience each other. After marriage, they started doing the same experience before marriage.
Right.
Now the thing with before marriage is that marriage is like a container. So without the container, you start lighting the fire, it spreads,
Right.
and there's nothing to contain the fire. So marriage acts like a container. Now here in this case, you do those things which you would have ideally done in a marriage scenario. You're doing it in premarital relationship, which I would like to term that as premarital sexual relationships, where sex is given a kind of a higher weightage, because once you start knowing a person, knowing that person more and more becomes your agenda, it becomes your focus, it becomes your goal. But at the same time, what began as a knowledge quest or what began as a compatibility search quickly boils down into something very deep, where you start satisfying your needs by somebody else's presence and by somebody else's gifts or body. And that exactly is what spoiled premarital, because the intention of premarital was being prepared for marriage, but here you end up doing everything that a marriage allows you to do without the social and mental and sexual responsibilities that a marriage contains.
Yes, you said correctly, Bonnie. When the sex part or the physical intimacy is involved in a relationship, the direction of the relationship is changing. And we need to understand that when this physical intimacy thing is coming, either one of them, means minimum one of them, has started looking at the body than the heart of that person. So that is actually disgusting, because we are pulling the next person to a different level where he or she may not wanting it, but the term love is forcing the other person to go with that person. So here the term of love is also wrongly what defined, that is love by giving the body of a person. Actually, it is not needed. If we know the physical intimacy or the sex is the gift of marriage covenant, and nowadays the physical intimacy is becoming a part of a premarital relationship, and everyone is happy about it, and they feel proud to say that I slept with so and so person. So it's actually difficult to accept, and actually it's wrong, and Bible says it's a sin. And if you see some of the cases, what has come to us is there are kids, or maybe a boy or girl may not know about this physical intimacy, whereas the partner is going to teach them, or showing the sympathy, and start teaching them and showing that he is in love, and deceiving. This is one kind of case. Another case, little older people, they may be married, having their own family, but showing sympathy to the small girl or boy, and what, keeping themselves in wolf's cloth, sorry, being a wolf, being inside the sheep's cloth, and showing that he or she's guiding, but deceiving. But these all end up in premarital sexual relationship. And another concept what is very trendy is sugar daddy and sugar baby, whereas the rich old man lavishly giving all the gift to young women, so that in return they need to get the sexual benefits. So these are some of the things. So these are the various forms premarital sexual relationships is prevalent
True.
in our culture as well as everywhere. So I think we have come to an conclusion of this first question, that is premarital relationship are acceptable provided the sexual intimacy or physical intimacy is not involved. If it is involved, actually you started playing with fire. So Bonnie, take the next question.
So the next question is, how does one cope from a toxic premarital relationship that did not go well?
It's a very good question, Bonnie, because people are always looking into the good side or the greenery side of relationship, but no one will think about what if the relationship doesn't go well, or the person is not treating you well. It's the baddest phase a person can go through, but we cannot actually do anything, because the person need to go. So if you put your hand in the fire, you need to understand that you are going to get the feeling of that burning. So you need to be prepared for getting the not only the good side but the bad side of those kind of relationship. So according to my terms, I always say that there are some relationship we can avoid, and some see the parental child relationship, how much ever they are going to scold you, we cannot throw them out. Husband wife relationship, sibling relationship, we cannot throw them out because they are part and parcel of life. But a premarital relationship, we have a chance to avoid this. We choose to be in this particular relationship. Once you are into it and it has gone to be a toxic case, we cannot help it out, just move through it. And the first thing what we can think as the time can take away the pain. This because whatever is the pain, time will fade away all the memories. So by the time time has taken away, the second thing is you got an experience. So when you are going to move to the next relationship, think twice, because you already hit very badly with your first relationship. So that is the another way we can come out of it. And the third thing what you can do is, if you are sitting and thinking, you have time only to cry over it or go into any habits of drinking, smoking. It's better we divert ourselves, spend more time with good friends or some constructive work with family time, so that you will not be tortured by the after effect of this particular relationship. Other than that, I would say find a good counselor, because a trained person, not untrained people, because they will give you unwanted advices. A trained person will really understand what that person is going through and can help through, because the counselor is getting ample number of experience by dealing with so many people. So that way also you can get out from this. And finally, not the last but the best, is the prayer time. So by prayers, actually this person can come out. So we always talk about the healing of the soul. So what happens when you are in a relationship, if it is going to be a broken relationship, all these things are giving you a very bad wound. And if you're not tackling with that wound that particular time, you're carrying this pain wherever you go. How many years you go through, and someone tells about it or you think about it, you start crying, because that means the wound is still there and it is not healed. So what you can do is always have an inner check with your inner man. Is this affecting me very badly? Because he or she is the best reflection for you than anyone else. If anyone tells you you are not good for anything, if your inner conscience says that you're good, then there is nothing to worry. It's about how is your inner man. And when there is a wound is happening to you, there is a prayer you can pray over and get healed and move ahead in life. So these are some of the ways, Bonnie, I feel that we can get out from any kind of pain we had gone through in our life. What do you think about it?
What I would want to say is just 3 points. The first thing is, in toxic relationship, the first and foremost is choices have consequences.
Yes.
So you have chosen to be in a relationship, and no relationship looks bad in the start.
Yes.
Otherwise you wouldn't be in a relationship. Because it looked beautiful on the outside, you thought it would be beautiful on the inside. But when you reached on the insides, it was way opposite of beautiful, and that's when you realize it is toxic. That's when you realize, and that's a good part, because the day you realize it's toxic is the day that you have come to a level of awareness. Now, awareness will create a certain reaction, and for me that reaction brings me to my second point, that is acceptance and accountability.
Right.
Because once you accept that you're in a toxic relationship, and you take accountability of the fact that you need to be out of it, because drinking and eating poison will not give you life.
Right.
Okay, it will give you death, slow death, but death for sure.
Yes.
So you need to take accountability of your own life and get out of it as soon as possible. And the third thing is, because you were in it, the third point which I would want to think about is recognize that there would be repercussions.
Yes.
Recognize that there would be repercussions, because actions have reactions. So whatever happened in the toxic relationship would also carry scars and wounds which you would have to nurse for the rest of your life. So the better you heal, the faster you heal, it is good for you in the long run.
Right.
Especially if your Prince Charming or your dream girl comes just the next day.
Right.
And if you would have healed your wounds and be ready, then it's good for you.
Right. So, Bonnie, let's go to the next question. Does experience gained in a premarital relationship profit in an actual marriage?
The way how I'd like to approach this question, it's an interesting question, by the way, because it's important to understand that there are experiences that we all carry.
Yes.
When we go through relationships, and in a premarital relationship where sex is involved, we have experiences that we can never forget.
Yes.
These experiences are not a child's play. It is a very deep emotional experience at a level which is so deep that we call things called as soul ties.
Yes.
Now, why it is so important to understand this, because we are a spirit, we have a soul. So what is a soul? A soul is our emotions, our intellect, our thoughts, and we are in a body. Now, in a premarital sexual relationship, when we start to partake of somebody else's body, irrespective of whether we are going to marry the person or not, we start to share, and there is a flow of energies, or flow of thoughts, and flow of emotions. There's a supply, and that supply goes through an attachment between two people.
Right.
Now, when this attachment, because of the flow and because of the exchange that is happening, that exchange is happening at a very frequent level. It can just be talking, and then talking to touching to hugging to cuddling to kissing, to then going to the next level. And what I would look at it is in this way, that when you start interacting with another soul, another body, it becomes a soul tie, it becomes an attachment. And that is the reason why that attachment is so hard to break, because you could break physical barriers, you could separate and lay down a rule or a boundary physically,
Right.
but what about the spiritual and the soulish boundaries? Those boundaries also need to be looked at in a way that it transcends physical barriers.
Right.
So when we look at this question, that the experiences gained in a premarital sexual relationship, how does that play in an actual marriage? I would like to give an example of whether the person gets married to the same person with
Correct.
whom he or she has had the relationship,
Mm.
or another person. And in the same person, it's a little easier because your experiences are still with that person.
Right.
But if it is another person, what happens is you are exchanging again, all over again, the same intimate relationships that you had with somebody else.
Right.
There would be floodgates of memories, there would be touch responses, responses to stimuli, all these things, and memories created in common places, common activities, games, songs. There's so much that you cannot just do away with the relationship as if you're changing clothes or as if you're changing houses.
Right.
I wish it could be so easy,
Yes.
but it isn't. And because it isn't, if the person has not married the same person with whom he or she has interacted with in a sexual relationship, then it becomes very difficult, and that needs to be dealt with.
You said about the aspects of the person getting married to the same person.
Yes.
I mean, the couple are same before marriage and after marriage.
And also,
Yes, there is one more
Different, yeah.
case is that I'm in a relationship with one boy, broke off, and I'm going to a marriage with another person. So that case also, actually, we are taking the baggage of these people and going.
true.
So you rightly told the concept of soul ties. That is how you are connected to the other person emotionally. In young men's young generation's talk, they will call it vibes, or they will say the connectivity. So they find it's good. That is, my boy is going through a pain. I can sense the intensity of pain, but they are not understanding. This is the tie happened between two souls. It's very difficult to separate or
them.
keep them apart. So what happens then, knowing the pain of that person or the pleasure of that person, actually you're carrying his baggage and walking around. So it's not only his pain, you're adding on pain of your pain. That means you're doubling the pain what you're carrying. So if you're going with the same partner, actually there is no issue. But if you're breaking a relationship because of any reason, see, we need to understand that in our culture, marriage is not only the compatibility of two people. It is much more than that, where family is
True.
involved, money is involved, then the culture is involved, education, occupation, everything is involved. So the love or the compatibility of the two people is comparatively lesser when we think about other things. This is the main reason people go for an arranged marriage, having a premarital relationship with one or two people. So what is happening if you're not get adequate treatment after breaking a relationship with person, you are carrying him or her with you with a new person. So you are not going to understand that this has an effect on that particular person. And whatever you are having, suppose I had a relationship with Pash, now I am going to see my spouse in comparison with the love what I got, the treatment what I got, and it's always come to comparison whether my spouse can be better. It's good always. If lower, then that dissatisfaction is always there. So this is the another side of marriage if you are coming out from a different relationship. And one more aspect I want to talk or discuss is a cage what you can have. The thing is, two people are in a relationship and the boy's character or girl, and I'm not telling boys, I'm not gender biased to tell about the boy or girl may not like the other person, but the soul tie and the physical intimacy made them to nag the relationship indirectly. This particular person is in a caged relationship, whereas he's not able to come out of it. But I would say, than dragging this relationship to a marriage, because you know you're not compatible
Yeah.
and it will break one day. There is a limit for a container to take after it breaks. So, and your marriage is not going to end in one day. It again, more than half of your life is spending to spend time with them. So I really would advise, if you are under a cage of any kind of relationship, and if you feel that you cannot get out of it by any chance, I would say discuss with a trained person to understand the pros and cons of living with that person and move out, because you need to have your life. And not only you, when the family comes, the children come, not only you are the victim of this particular person or this toxic relationship, your children are also going to be a victim of this. So I would say, before breaking up or going into different marriage, think twice, heal the wounds and start everything from scratch.
On this point, I would just want to say one thing from the Bible, and I just want to share this. Abraham, before he was parting his concubines and the children from the concubines, because there was going to be obvious rivalry between his own legitimate son and the children of the concubines, he parted them with blessings and the gift,
Yes.
with bread and water. One of the things that experiences teach us is, if you keep hate, if you keep hurtful, resentment, all those kind of emotions, it will always be there.
Right.
It will get locked into your heart. And no matter how much the current part, your husband or your wife, would try to love you, you will not be able to receive that love, because you loved somebody and that somebody did not reciprocate properly.
Right.
So one thing that I would want to always emphasize is forgive. Because not because a person was innocent, not because a person deserved it, but because you deserve to let go. If you have let go a person, let go the person in entirety, the good and the bad. And there's a certain kind of experience that we call as positive, and there's a certain kind of experience that we call as negative.
Right.
Now, in the positive experience, whatever experiences one has gained in a premarital sexual relationship is a learning process,
Right.
is something that they apply to their own lives. But in the negative, it becomes all the more unfair to the current partner, because he or she may not understand or know why this behavior
Right.
or why this response to certain things. Because I would, for example, like one particular kind of food, but my partner whom I'm with doesn't like it because her partner earlier hated that food. Because of that, she started to resent that food.
Right.
So, those kind of things need to let go, and you need to do a fresh start. Fresh start not just with your own life, but fresh start with the understanding that yes, there are flaws, yes, there are wounds. And as you kind of grow and as you take those experiences into the new relationship, take learning and become positive rather than being negative.
Very good. Very good, Bonnie. It's more than that, we need to do justice to our partner.
True.
We cannot show the regret or the grudge what we have with the previous person. Show justice to the spouse what you're going to have in your marriage. So we have come to the last question. So I would like you to take this particular question.
So the last question is, how does counseling help a couple who have experienced premarital sexual relationships with other partners?
Very nice question, and I think it is very relevant to the younger generation what we are having around us. So Bonnie, as I've said before also, the marriage is a what object, or I can't say it's an object, it's an incident that can divide a person's life into two: before marriage, after marriage. So we need to understand that whatever premarital relationship you had, you were in the comfort zone of yours. Your family is same, everything is same. But once you are into a marriage, actually you are inviting the other person into your intimate space for a lifetime. It is not only on fun, or it's not only to have the body, or it's not only to have good times. It's more of, this is in marriage, all these things are there, plus responsibility is there, and we are going to take care of our children. That is the added responsibility of a marriage, and we are called to do that. We cannot say that I don't want children, because if our parents thought about like that, we would not have been in this particular place. So this is the first thing I would like to touch about marriage. Second thing, we need to understand that when two people are going to get married, we really don't know what kind of baggage they are carrying, because in my mother tongue there is a proverb: we cannot cut open and see a person inside what is the character before getting married. So we really don't know what the person is having or what the person has undergone. So we need to understand that premarital counseling is mandatory for each and every couple before getting married, because, and I want everyone to have separate session with the trained person so that they can open up and understand what's next. So initially separate session to ventilate what they want to speak, so that we can finish it off, and once they are together they are going to start it again from the scratch. So this will help you to start without having a comparison with the previous relationship or a physical intimacy you had with the previous person. And the counseling part, if we speak, we are not here to blame anyone, or we are not here to accuse you are bad or you're good. The counseling, or the person who's trained, is trying to hold the hand of a person and say, anyway you fell down, get up, we need to walk ahead. When you're getting married, it's better you have a healthy talk in all the aspect about your expectation in the kitchen or at work or taking care of children, or the intimate relationship you have discussed with each other. And one thing I have commonly noticed in all the couples is, if the husband is good in something, the wife is not good in that particular thing. Actually that's the way it should be, because when one is holding one aspect, the other one is holding. It's not what public is saying, it's happening. If a person is really growing up, understand the other person is holding it well, so that the person is growing up. This is the way all the couples are designed. So how we are tackling the way our marriage go. Then the other point what I would like to highlight over here is, when you're discussing, if you know that that person is weak in a particular thing, train them, teach them. This is the way you both, husband and wife, are holding the hands, not thinking what has happened behind. Now from today I'm going to hold your hands and walking with you. This way you can bring it up. Now some comments, actually you need to understand the words of a husband really hurts to a wife, and vice versa. If one of your partners telling you you're not good at bed, or you are not looking like the other person, you are very small, don't accuse like that. That is the biggest insult you can get in this world, that is the spouse is telling about, especially about the body. So you need to understand that these things bring a more crack, or the gap of the marriage. Whereas now we are talking about premarital, it can go to an extramarital affair also. Another point I would like to highlight on premarital relationship is, Bonnie, that once you had 1, 2 to 3 relationship where you're going into marriage, avoid telling about this kind of relationship with your husband. I have seen in almost every woman that they go and tell their fiance that I had this kind of relationship, and they go and tell the intimacy of the relationship. At the time of listening to this particular conversation, that person says, oh, that's fine, everyone will have all these things. But as days goes by, when the marriage happens, or if the marriage crisis happens, if this particular term, word or incident comes out from the spouse's mouth, the other person who has been to multiple relationships will think twice or thrice, because he or she already cremated and buried all these things before entering into the marriage of covenant. And God might have forgiven that particular person, but man will not do that particular thing. So I always advise all the youngsters, before getting married, if you have done any mistake, just tell it one line is more than enough. No need to explain it further in detail what is the intimacy, because mistakes happen, we cannot change in our life. It's always better we prevent ourselves from doing the mistake. If the mistake is done, get up, because you don't want to be in the mess again. Get up and we can restart the life. The most important factor of a marriage is developing the love and affection and trust. So you need to understand that our person is a victim of multiple relationship, and her love is broken, her trust is broken, everything is done. So now she is dedicating herself to restart whatever is her past. So I always request other person, do justice to your relationship, because if you have another person on the other side, again you are going to break this person. So marriage is not an easy thing. We need to understand it's like a fragile cup. Both need to hold together, because if one takes the hand, that can go out. So we both husband and wife really need to work together to bring it to a better level, not only for us but to the children, because the children of broken families are terribly affected. Whatever addictions we see, whatever suicide thoughts or completed suicide or attempted suicide, if you check, these are the children of broken families with deep-rooted issues. So I really recommend counseling from a trained person before marriage, especially for people who had been into premarital sexual relationship. Would you like to add something to it, Bonnie?
I'd like to close this question with 2 points that I can think of. One is the reason why it comes into the picture is counseling is about trying to tell the person, educate the person.
Yes.
So telling the person, giving that person understanding that it's not something very difficult to come out of.
Yes.
It's possible, it's definitely manageable. Yes, there are consequences, but at the same time, when you start to create awareness about what has happened and how do you deal with it, because let's understand that because of those experiences will teach you certain things about your life, about how you behave and how you are as a person.
Right.
It will also start to let you know that there are certain areas that you need to build responses towards.
Yes.
So for example, I'm just giving an example. If I know that a particular thing is my weakness, I will design steps to not go into that area or to touch that thing, or be around that person or be around that thing. Now those are responses that I premeditatedly decide and design with the only understanding that it will save me.
Right.
Because I have learned through experience that if I use those things or if I do those things, that will only do harm and not good. The last point that I would want to say and highlight is when we start educating ourselves through counseling, there are methods that are involved. Those methods are not easy to understand even by yourself. So you need a counselor to help you to understand those methods, because those methods are designed to help you.
Right.
And when you use those methods under the able guidance of somebody who knows what is the outcome of those methods, and it's not just one person that the counselor is is helping. The counselee is just one, but the counselor is being approached by so many people.
Right.
And that corporate experience helps this one person more. So when that awareness of the consequences of your previous past relationships, especially in the sexual areas, those consequences, when you are aware of those consequences, you start to understand that while there are responses that you can build, there's also a vulnerable side that you need to understand about yourself and also about your partner, because in a relationship, it's not about just one person.
Right.
Otherwise it can't be a relationship. It's about two people. Now when two people come together, when you come together with the other person, let's understand that the other person will have vulnerabilities, will have weaknesses, will have areas which are very sensitive. Whether you have it or not, that maturity is very essential That's exactly what counseling does. Counseling helps the other person realize the kind of responsibility both partners have to have to imbibe, inculcate not just in themselves but every single time be alert to not cross certain lines, certain boundaries, because by crossing those lines and those boundaries, as you shared earlier, they could exploit their own partner.
Yes.
What was supposed to build and what was supposed to be harnessed into a beautiful relationship would then become a place of hatred.
Right.
Instead of happiness, you would have hatred. Instead of rejoicing, you would have resentment. This is only because instead of it was us, it became I.
Yes.
And that is what counseling helps. Counseling makes one individual realize that he or she is not alone. There is another person
Right.
that he or she has to take care of, be responsible towards, and that marriage helps because counseling bridges the gap between the past, the present, towards the future.
Very nicely you said, Bonnie. And we had come to the last session, and you wind it up in such a beautiful way that how a premarital relationship can affect a marriage. And marriage is something we need to be very careful. And premarital relationship is not someone pushed on us. We take it for our own responsibility. So to like a person is acceptable because we all are human beings in this world. It's a common phenomenon. But crossing the bars, what is expected from you, that means going into a physical intimacy with a person is not allowed outside the marriage. So if you are a person who's practicing, I'm not here to accuse you. It's like, what is your take on it? It's we need to have some kind of moral values to say that do not do sexual relationship with a person whom you are not married with, because you are under the risk of so many other things we did not even discuss, where you know better than all of us. It's these things, in order to protect our moral conscience and our values, should be completed and concrete, and understand this help you to stand up and say that I have not done anything wrong. When you are going to approach for a justice, you can say that I'm clear from my part. So I would say try to avoid physical intimacy in premarital relationship, because whatever fun you're going to have, you may be paying a price at the end. Hope this session has put an insight into premarital relationship, especially with physical intimacy. So thank you, Bonnie, for being a part of this session, because you had really put a good insight into this topic, and we all are part of this kind of generation where this kind of relationships are very common. And if any one of you are struggling with this particular matter, feel free to contact us in the phone number as well as the email ID which is given in the description. So we are waiting to see you next week with a new topic. Thank you.